Hello, and welcome to another episode of Kids Talk Sports. Today, we are going to be doing an NBA GOAT debate, greatest of all time. And we have some stats listed here for basically most of the people that would be in the conversation. So, yeah, let's just get right into it.
So should I go first or
Yeah,
what?
sure.
How you want?
So,
Okay.
yeah,
So basically, for this Jordan one, obviously we have when he was drafted, and then he's averaging 20 points almost like every season that he was with the Bulls. And in the parentheses, you can see that he lost like the first couple of years, but then when he got Scotty, he started winning those rings. Unfortunately, he went back to baseball, or else I think he could have won two more. I don't know what Yash thinks about that, but I
I
think he could
think
have
he
won
would
two
have.
more.
I think he would have.
But so I guess I consider him the GOAT. I don't know what anybody I don't know where the LeBron things comes from, and I don't understand like how he's even in the conversation. But
Yeah, I,
I can
I
go
agree. I don't think there's, I don't think you
like
can go against that really.
how do you go against 6 for 6 finals and every single time winning finals MVP, and then not even having to go 7 games in every single one?
Yeah.
Rick, you got anything to add?
You guys said it. You said it. Majority of it. I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into it. So I've watched LeBron a lot more than I've watched Jordan because I've seen LeBron's whole career,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw Jordan's career probably since I was like maybe 5 years old. And I'm gonna go with Jordan, of course. And the biggest thing with Jordan over anybody is just his killer mentality. He'll say he's gonna go out and get 50, and he'll go out and get 50. And he'll say he'll go out and win and destroy you. He'll go out and win and destroy you. The biggest thing that a lot of people do not talk about with Jordan is that they don't talk about how the difference between Jordan and LeBron. Like there's a rule, 3 seconds on defense. That
Yeah.
rule, people don't talk about the rule a lot because NBA is about offense now, and they want to make the game look more faster, more exciting. So you don't have big guys, 7-footers, coming to the lane and staying in the lane, camping out in the lane the whole time. And Jordan had that all the time, and Jordan got a lot of layups, got a lot of dunks, got a lot of and ones because of that. And also, you look at the points. LeBron may have more points, but Jordan, they weren't shooting threes as much back then. So Jordan had a lot of more of like a
Mid
true
game
three
and
pointer
stuff.
at the time. So a basket and one that would be like a true 3 pointer at the time, whatever. And so uh, Jordan made his way off that. Plus, another thing people don't overlook with Jordan is that the hand checking. You can grab and hold and push somebody more and more. You can't do that now. So it's a different
Yeah. It's a
style,
foul
more
every
physical
time.
They're
style.
more strict with the like officiating is more strict now than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
mean, yeah. Overall, there. I mean, you can't take anything away from this. Obviously, he lost all
We
those.
didn't put the wizard stats because I feel like that's irrelevant from the
Yeah.
point
Yeah. I mean,
because
this is the main
obviously
stuff. He obviously lost at the
I mean,
beginning and then went 6 for 6 in the finals. And then the
yeah,
Rockets won the 2 years he was playing baseball. So I think he would have won both those years.
and also I wanted to point out that I don't think there's much attention to the fact that the Pistons made Michael Jordan better because of the Jordan rules with him like with the scrappiness of the bad boys with Isaiah Thomas and all them.
Hmm.
So I think that made him really want him. That's like the mentality that Greg was talking about is the fact that he wanted to get better after losing to the Pistons a couple of times.
Yeah. So I guess moving on, LeBron. Um, I mean, also pretty great stats,
Yeah, these stats are really good too, but I just
except
don't.
for all these losses.
Mhm. And
That's
some of them are necessary losses too. So but I think if you look at like points wise, he's great, but he hasn't converted much. I mean, he's converted much of that to. Um, I mean, he's able to score in the playoffs, but he's not able to get his team to win in the playoffs. Is
yeah.
what I'm trying.
So Yeah, especially he has a losing career in the finals, which is
4-6.
yeah.
4-6. Well, they won a lot in the playoffs. All right. The key word is playoffs. They won a lot in the playoffs. But in the finals, he lost a lot. And he had good stats. The biggest thing with LeBron to me that takes his credit down is he he's like a GM. He plays, but he's a GM. So he's like, hey, you come on my team. Hey, you come on my team. Hey, you play over here. And so they didn't have that back then. And LeBron is playing with better players that Jordan had. I mean, Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, they're all better scoring-wise than Jordan's Pippen by far. Now, Pippen is a better defender than all of them, I understand, but Anthony Davis is a pretty good defender. Wade's a pretty good defender. And, Kyrie's, he's a decent defender. But you got to understand, these guys, Wade averaged 29 points a game, like 2 years before LeBron came to Miami. And also, I look at another thing on LeBron's record is, they got swept in the finals twice. All right,
he lost to Dirk, which really is upsetting because Dirk was the only All-Star on that team.
There you go. I was going to say that. One All-Star, 2011 Dallas Mavs. One All-Star on that team, even though Sean Marion and Jason Kidd was really good players and they weren't as good as they were. They were former All-Stars, but still, one All-Star on that team versus three in their prime, and they were young. So yeah, that was really. Then LeBron, he choked in those playoffs in the fourth quarter quite a bit. So with that being said, he can never be better than Jordan because of that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many points he score. And then he's not as good defensively as Jordan. Jordan won a defensive title. In the same year he won the defensive title, he scored 35 points a game. So you're the best defensive player and the best player. Like who else has ever done that?
Yeah. And kind of like
go ahead.
Yeah, kind of like you were saying.
Jordan. Oh, go ahead, y'all.
Okay, so kind of like you were saying at the beginning, I mean his finals, you can take away, but you really can't take away that from him that he has a losing record because he got to the finals in the first place. Like you can't lose and have a losing record in the finals if you don't even get to the finals.
And what the weirdest thing is that his best numbers were without an all-star, like when he was with when he was beginning with the Cavs.
Yeah, which makes sense.
I know that makes sense, but why aren't you? I mean, obviously, when you're with more all-stars like D Wade or Bosh, I think that he's not hitting his fullest. He's not hitting his full potential because look, in 2007 he had average of 30 points per game, but he's not doing that when in the playoffs when it matters more, which is what I don't think he's hitting what he's supposed to in the playoffs.
I think when it matters, he has really great stats in the playoffs. Can't take away from him. I think when it matters. He also played a lot of mediocre Eastern Conference teams. Toronto Raptors, Atlanta Hawks, Indiana Pacers. I mean, one of the main teams that he played that really couldn't get by was the Celtics until he left to go to Miami.
Yeah.
And even when he came back to Cleveland, there was a lot of mediocre teams that he was playing and sometimes having trouble with. But once you got to the Western Conference Finals, once you got to the NBA Finals, you saw the difference of the talent.
Yeah.
When you go out the West, you went out the West. Those are wars. All right, except for this year. All right, for this year. This year was a whole different. I kind of feel like the Lakers was the best AAU team this year. All right, they won a championship. But, no crowd, no distractions, no travel. That's huge.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. This year was way different. So, anyways, moving on, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Also, all of these people that we're going over.
I think that I feel like with Kareem, he's great. He's first in points. he's averaging a lot of points. I think this is like he basically did what kind of what LeBron did. He went to a team that had a lot of talent, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, but this time he was able to win instead of losing in the finals, which is more key in winning. But I like Kareem a lot. I feel like he might be number 2 for me if was Jordan 1 and then Kareem 2.
Yeah, I think he's probably 2, 3, or 4 for me. It's close, but yeah. And
Kareem.
another thing, 19 All Stars. That's basically like almost every year he played. Yeah.
And also, I think that also
Uh,
another. Oh, go ahead.
Kareem's number 2 to me. To really kind of put more light of the Lakers thing, like he went to the Lakers and then they got Magic and then they got Worthy, So, but he was on the Lakers beforehand, but he didn't carry the Lakers all the time. So, but you can't argue with Green has what does he have? 6 MVPs.
Yep, 6 MVP.
You can't argue with 6 MVPs. And he has what, 3 Finals MVPs? Is that right? Or 4 Finals MVPs?
He has
2, I
2.
think. 2 Finals MVPs.
Worthy won a couple. I think Worthy won 1, and then Magic won 2, maybe.
Yeah, and then okay, he has 2 Finals MVPs. So, but most in points, he has longevity. His rebounds, was ridiculous. He's averaging 14 rebounds a game, 16 rebounds a game, 13 rebounds a game, things like that. So that's really good. And then he has that sky hook that you can't really touch.
Yeah.
It's hard to block that. So but Green also, he had Magic Johnson playing with him. So I would say he pretty much had like the your best number 2 guy to ever play with you probably would be Magic. Like, out of this list of all NBA players, you might, because some people may consider Magic in top 5 as the greatest of all time. So if Magic is on your team, that's going to help you a whole lot.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you would consider him the best point guard of all time, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt, he's the best point guard of all time.
And also another thing with Kareem, it's just that I think what makes him number 2 instead of LeBron being 2 was the fact that he was able to win with other All-Stars when LeBron couldn't.
And I mean, first in total points. And like people score. I mean, it seems
and
like
it's hard to score that many points as a center
like,
position. You're not getting you're not getting.
Yeah, nowadays there's like defense is like no one plays defense now, and there's a 3-point. I mean, I don't know how many people shot threes at this point, but yeah, I just think that like first in total points, even back then, that's pretty important to take note of. So yeah, Kobe Bryant, I guess. Go ahead. All right, I guess we can move on to Kobe then. So only 1 MVP.
I know. I think he got robbed with a couple because Steve Nash won some, and I think Greg agreed with me too.
So we got robbed for MVP, for a couple years. Sometimes when looking at these stats, it doesn't tell you the whole story.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we saw with Wilt Chamberlain. Let me look ahead.
Remember watching Kobe, and he scored 60 or 60 points against the Mavericks, and he didn't even play the 4th quarter. And it was just like, whoa. And, I was playing basketball on a adult league, and a friend of mine was like, yeah, come up here and score like Kobe. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. And that was our thing, go score like Kobe and stuff. And then at the time, Kobe was on such a tear. Another week, he was like, yeah, go out there and score like Kobe again. I was like, oh, yeah, you talking about the Mavericks game? He's like, no. He's like, he scored 81 against the Raptors. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that 81 points, nothing against Wilt, but that's a whole lot harder because he's bringing the ball up, starting from the 3-point line instead of right up underneath the basket.
Mm-hmm.
And he has to drive to the basket. He has to dish off. He has to shoot jumpers. So that 81 points to me, it was a competitive game. Losing that game, to me that's harder than Will's 100 points because Will, all it was go down, give it to Will, go down, give it to Will, go down. When you're 5 feet away from the basket, 2 feet away from the basket, things become a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Right? Plus, with Will's era, nothing against him, he was phenomenal. But a lot of guys are 6'9", 6'10" going against Will. That was like 7'1", 7'2".
Yeah.
Will was strong. What people don't understand about Will was actually stronger than Shaq. They did some tests or whatever. Will was like one of the strongest guys ever in the NBA.
Yeah. And kind of like you were saying, like one MVP, it's kind of stupid. It's kind of like whenever Karl Malone got it over Jordan, like obviously Jordan should have won. But like that, like the MVP, I think it's like sometimes it's not like always really most valuable player. So yeah, that I don't like. He probably should have won more, but I'm not gonna like. You can't take anything away because he only has one.
I had a quick question for you, Greg. Why do people put Kobe lower, like 8 and 9, on their list, and you're putting him a little higher?
So I got Kobe as number 3 on my list of all time, and people put him on 8 and 9 because of one thing. The main thing they put him at 8 and 9 is because of Shaq. All right, because those 3 times that he won a championship, Shaq was the MVP. But if you look at Kobe's stats in the playoffs and in the finals, he did very well, like 27 points a game, 28 points a game, things like that. And of course, Shaq had like 34 points a game, 35 in the finals, things like that. But that was the biggest reason. But what bumps Kobe up for me is how many Western Conference teams did he beat with 60 games, all right, or more. So they had to go through San Antonio. They had to go through Sacramento. They had to go through Portland. Those teams were really, really tough.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Kobe came back. He really removed Shaq off the team and came back with Pau Gasol. Now, Pau Gasol is a good player, but he's no way, no how up on like my top 40 in the league, my top 50 in the league. Be on there, So that he won the Finals MVP for those 2 years. So that's what moved Kobe's up to me. Because of that, he was so competitive. It's like, I'm better than you, Shaq. I don't really want you on a team. And then a few years later, he gets Pau, and then they won a couple of times. They went 2 out of 3 in the championship.
Yeah. Also, I think another thing that affected him was losing to the Pistons is like one of the biggest upsets in like NBA Finals history. Like I bet you nobody expected the Pistons to win, and they did. So I think that you have to live up to your expectations or even exceed your expectations. So losing to the Pistons is just bad.
Well, I remember when it's happened. So no one expected the Pistons to win except for the whole state of Michigan.
Yeah.
even then they were kind of like, I don't know. But the whole state of Michigan and the whole city of Detroit and all surrounding areas, they felt that the Pistons would win. But everyone else across the world and the country, no, the Lakers were going to win and dominate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so moving on to Wilt Chamberlain. Listen here, this is a sleeper, okay? Look at these stats. I'm just like, this is goat stats right here. Like,
I know those are good, but again, like Greg said, he wasn't really he was facing people that were like 3 inches smaller than him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, this is hard not to put like top 3.
Imagine if he won more than 2 finals.
Yeah,
I think like
that's almost like you put him even before Jordan. Almost like 50.4 points a game. Like, what am I missing
right?
there?
Yeah, I mean his stats. If you look at his stats, he's the GOAT compared to anybody else. If you look at his stats, no, I mean there's no comparing that as far as like what he scored a game. You know, one year, I think someone said that he couldn't really assist, and one year Wilt led the league in assists,
Yeah.
right, as a center. So, but the average 27 a game with 50 points a game. I mean, come on. He averaged 27 rebounds and 50 points a game, you know, and several times 44 points, 36 points, 38 points. Wow. You know,
I mean,
so yeah,
for me,
he,
I
he
don't
ran.
like. He's top 3 for me for sure.
I had a quick question for Greg. So I did not put Bill Russell on this list, and I think it was because he I know he has the rings and everything, but he was only averaging about 15 points per game. So I don't know what you think. Do you think he's actually a top 10 player, or do you think that he just has the
Well,
rings
he
to
could
show
be
for
top
it?
10, I think.
Top 10, Bill Russell. Yeah, you got to put him in the top 10. I memean, he's won so much. I'm gonna say that Bill Russell's the best NBA winner, you know, on the floor. Like definitely the best NBA winner on the
I
floor.
think, but he had John Havlicek and Bob Cousy and all those players, so it really wasn't.
He didn't really have a check. Um, I'm trying to think. He had who did he? Okay, he had Cousy. And he had Doug.
JoJo White? No?
Jojo Wayne, Casey Jones. He had gosh, I want to say is it Doug Collins? Not Doug Collins. Somebody else. It's slipping my mind. But he did have 4 Hall of Famers on that team.
Yeah.
Him and 3 others.
Which is why I didn't put him on the list, because I think his defense stands out for him, but I didn't know because he didn't average that much and he didn't have much stats to show for it.
Well, yeah, well, he just flats out win. I think he only lost 1 finals,
Mhm.
you know, but he was definitely the best player in each finals. You know, that's why I gave the MVP, finals MVP to him now. But yeah, he's like top 10. You know, he's not better than Will, but he beat me all the time, but he had help, you know.
Yeah.
You really don't hear about Will's teammates except for when he goes to the Lakers and plays with Jerry West and who else was on his team? I think Elgin Baylor was on his team. So outside of that, Will didn't really have good teammates.
Yeah. So back to Wilt though. I mean, these stats are like unbelievable. I don't know if anyone has stats like this. So that's why for me he's like either second or third. Obviously Kareem is probably the other second or third. But yeah, I mean, besides from that, he had all these losses and only 2 rings. That's why he loses a little bit of credibility. But I mean, if he had a couple more, he'd be in that conversation with like Jordan.
Magic now.
Yeah, Magic.
I think they had about 16 teams in that league. So that was easier. That's one thing when I look at the Celtics. It was easier for the Celtics.
Yeah, when I was looking up the playoff history, there was no first round, so everything would start in the second round instead of the first round.
Yeah, so you got 1-2 rounds and you're in the finals. Yeah. So yeah, because it was limited number.
Yeah, so basically Magic stats. He didn't have that many points per game, but assists.
I'm looking at the assists. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the assists.
Yeah, that's like. Yeah, I mean that's a double. He averaged a double basically every year except almost every year.
Mm-hmm. The final year he didn't.
Yeah, and then he had mid to high, like rebounds, like 6 to 10 basically.
Mm-hmm. And in his third year, he basically almost averaged a triple double. He was only like a couple assists or rebound off.
Yeah, and then he also 5 championships. Obviously, he had other people on his teams. I'm pretty sure.
Kareem.
Yeah, Kareem, and then 3 MVP. So, yeah, I mean 12 All Stars. Isn't that like probably how many years he even played?
Yeah, but Greg, what do you think?
Magic is he's like today's LeBron, but not as athletic, not as strong, not as fast.
Mhm.
But he's today's LeBron, really. 'Cause if you look at this, Magic's been going. He owned the '80s. He's going to finals a lot. I
Mhm.
want to say he
Yeah.
went to the finals maybe 9 times in his career. And
Yeah, they were
he
battling the
won five.
Sixers and the Celtics.
Pistons too. Yeah,
Mhm.
they played the Pistons a couple times in there. So Magic had Worthy and uh Green.
Yeah.
Some help and everything. I'm gonna have to say Magic. I would have probably put him. I think put him 6. Yeah, put him 6.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
still couldn't
definitely the
say that.
best point
Uh,
guard.
by far, at this point, Governor, high IQ, very crafty with the ball. He makes his team so much better. He's a walking triple double. You know, it's sad as career was cut short. But
Yeah.
yeah, Magic's one of the best Lakers all time, definitely. So I put him at number 6 though.
Yeah. So, guess moving
Larry
on.
Bird.
Yeah.
I know you not told. I know you told me not to put this in, but I had to. I didn't know if somebody would put Larry. Some people put Larry Bird in their top 6.
Yeah. I mean, averaged about at least 20 points a season, except for once. Um, 3 NBA final champs. I mean, that's pretty good, I guess, but probably not good enough for number one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean,
I,
he had a lot of rebounds.
Yeah,
yeah, he was.
I got Bird. Bird's the second best small forward ever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
Bird wasn't the guy who had that assassin-like mentality like a Jordan or a Kobe, and were just trash talking all day, say what he's going to do. Bird had ability to. It's funny. There's a story going on. He hit 50 points to somebody all offhanded. So offhanded hitting 50 points to somebody is really good. So Bird definitely he was great. Had a really good style. That's I can't put on too much because that 85, 86 team that Bird was playing on, there was 5 Hall of Famers on that team: Dennis Johnson, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Bill Walton, and Bird. And just to go back to say how good Jordan was, he came out with a foot injury, broke his foot, and he only played games going to the playoffs, and Jordan scored 3 against that team. So he averaged 40 something in those playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
People say Jordan didn't win anything to put out there, but he sure enough made an impression off everyone because of how good he was. He's scoring 50 points, 60 points, or whatever. He was a one-man team. So like the stats got so much better when he got there. It's just the winning got better. His stats was just unbelievable. Bird is definitely a great player. I got him at 8. Yeah, I got him at 8.
Okay, so yeah, I guess moving on, we have Shaquille O'Neal, played for a lot of teams.
Mhm.
I mean, his stats also are pretty impressive.
Mhm.
And then he obviously won 4 championships. Um, anything really? I wouldn't put him like top 3 or top 5 for that matter. But
I think that if I'm watching Shaq highlights, he was so dominant. Like they had to pay a lot of attention to him, which doesn't show up in the stats. So I feel like you put him maybe 5, maybe for me. I don't know about you, Greg.
How do I have Shaq? I think I got him in between Bird. I have him in between Bird and Magic.
Mhm.
It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of hard to put Magic over Shaq. And Well, with Shaq, um, he's when they won the championship in 2006, and
That was all D
conference
Wade.
finals. Look, look, my motion finals. Yes, D Wade went crazy. D Wade went nuts. I'm gonna tell you one reason why he was able to do that is because I don't care about what we're trying. We're trying to stop Shaq. We don't want Shaq to get off. And you ever remember me telling you at times of training when the best person gets off over and over again, they do. They start to double, they start to triple, and then the second best player gets off. You know,
Yeah.
and you want to make second best player be able to work and win you that game or win you that championship. And that year, Shaq was the better player that year in the finals. D Wade was the better player, but Shaq was the big decoy at the senior finals series. You know,
Yeah.
because they had no answer for it. We're just going to study about Shaq. We're going to stop Shaq. D Wade was going to be that. No one thought that. You know, so that's probably D Wade and the whole city of Miami.
All right, so I guess we're gonna be talking about Tim Duncan now. So honestly, can you scroll down a little bit? I can't see the stats. But so I don't know about you, but like with Tim Duncan, I feel like he was a great player. But I think that I don't know. I just feel like he wouldn't be in my top 6. Maybe I
Yeah,
think he'd probably be from like 7 to 10. But he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think he's top 6 caliber.
Yeah, I agree.
Greg?
His stats is phenomenal. One heck of a defender. He has very, very great like size and skills and moves around the basket. And, so great post player. I look at him, he's to me the best power forward. And to me, because he has the championship rings. He has 5 championship rings.
Yeah, we can scroll up here.
Karl Malone is right there, close to him. I think if Karl Malone had a few championships, you can consider him a better power forward. People forget that Karl Malone's the number 2 leading scorer ever in NBA history. So, but Tim Duncan also played with David Robinson. That was one strong force and won a couple championships with him. I would put him. Yeah, not necessarily knowing he's like. He's not my top 6, but he's like maybe 9.
Yeah, that's where I would put him.
9.
Yeah.
I mean, the stats are good, but like, I think
you're not top 6 status.
Yeah, like I would probably put Karl Malone over him.
I wouldn't put Karl Malone over him. He has no rings to show for it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess. Yeah.
If we want to go by stats and everything and like points and Karl Malone's going to be better than Tim Duncan in a lot of different things. Maybe not rebounding. Karl Malone's was smaller than Tim Duncan, and maybe not blocks. But as far as like who you feared more, I'm going to fear Karl Malone more playing against him instead of Tim Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Because Karl Malone would get you 40. He'll get you 50. He'll average 30-something points per game, and he'll get you far in the playoffs or to the finals and things like that. And it was him and Stockton was such a great 1-2 combination, but Duncan had some help with, Ginobili and Parker, and then his last ring with Kawhi, which, Kawhi's defense on LeBron, they gave him Finals MVP. He's not necessarily feeling like, to me, deserving of the Finals MVP that he got, but he got it, But you look at, he had 4 Hall of Famers that he was playing with. Kawhi would be a future Hall of Famer, and Parker and Ginobili as well. But then he also played with David Robinson.
Yeah.
So it's great when you got a 7'1" guy that's that athletic behind you. So. But we look at Duncan. Duncan won a championship on a short year. the 1999 season. They only played 55 games, due to the lockout. So it takes the credibility down. They also played a number 8 seed to win that championship. By the way, without their best player, they beat the New York Knicks in 1999 without Patrick Ewing. So
Yeah. So I mean, I guess just we'll go over. I mean, we can all say our top three. I'll bet you can go first if you want.
Okay, so for top six, I got Jordan, then Kareem, then I would put I guess I would put Kobe and then LeBron. Then I would put Will and then Magic, I guess. Is that 5 or 6? I don't even remember.
That was 6, I think.
Okay. So that's what I would put it.
Yep. Okay.
What about you, Josh?
Okay, I'll go and then we can end with Ckeck. I think I'll go Jordan 1, then probably Kareem only because of the rings, but then Will. 4, I got LeBron. 5, I guess Kobe, and maybe 6, Magic.
Okay, I like it. We'll end off with Ckeck. What do you got? Top 6.
well, Jordan's 1. I don't think no one's really coming close to him in my book, but he's 1. Number 2, Kareem. Number 3 is Kobe. Number 4, LeBron. Number 5 would be Will. And then number 6 would be Magic.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty similar list for like the top 6. We all had same people. Thank you, Ckeck, for joining us.
I had a quick question though, just real quick. What do you think is one player that doesn't deserve enough credit and should be like, around top 10 or maybe top 15? Like one of the more underrated players.
Kevin Garnett.
You would put him in your top 15?
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely Kevin Garnett. Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, I think Dirk Nowitzki is definitely deserving of a top 10.
I agree.
Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah, I would put Hakeem in like top. I would put 11, maybe. No, I think I'd put him 9.
Wow, so top 10.
Yeah, I mean Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, I went back and I really liked Hakeem Olajuwon a whole lot, and I thought that Magic was going to beat them in '95, and because the Packers swept them that year in a regular season, and so the Rockets was playing for it, and Hakeem Olajuwon, they won the hardest championship in NBA history.
Yeah.
And if you look at, because there was a 5 seed, they was on the road the whole time. They went to the MVP with David Robinson. They went to Seattle, David Robinson. So Seattle was Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Payton, I think they went to Utah that year as well. And then playing Orlando. Orlando had like the best record in the league. And then, Orlando just knocked off the Bulls. So, they was ready, but they were young.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem Olajuwon pretty much won the hardest championship in NBA history, definitely. 5 all the way, winning championship. So,
yeah, that's fair. So
doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah. He doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah. Agreed with that. Anything else to add?
I got everything done that I wanted.
I mean, you guys in the comments, go and give us your top 5, top 6. If there's anyone we left off, you could also add that in your list. But I think that this is basically people that I think would be in the GOAT conversation. But yeah, I think Jordan, it's hard to argue with him, number 1.
Unless you're a diehard LeBron fan, which many people are.
Yeah, so anyways, thanks for watching. Thank you, Ckeck, for joining us. and we'll see you in the next
Thanks
video.
for having me.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yes, take care.